When we Africans talk about household enemies, pray against household enemies, beware of household enemies, people who don't understand say we see enemies where there is none. That we tend to suspect everyone around us of being the cause of our problems. My dears, if household enemies never happened to you, be grateful to God and then don't stop praying it shouldn't happen to you. In this modern time, talking about household enemies, no one is exempted. It could be a husband or a wife, a brother or a sister, the housemates, the driver, the security around oneself, the best friend. And this kind of enemy is so deadly because to an extent you are laid bare before them. You dine and wine with them. They know most, if not all, your secrets and movements. They laugh with you, but as soon as you look away, they sneer at your back. They celebrate with you but spend sleepless nights envying and coveting your achievements. You praise them for their loyalty and willingness in serving you, not knowing they are heads of bootlicking sycophants. And because they have become so familiar and comfortable with you, in their so-called mind, they think, in fact, they believe with all confidence that they can do anything to you and get away with it if well planned. In fact, my people, your life, your wealth, everything about you is in the palm of their hands. Such is their power. Such is the elevated position of power their twisted mind has placed them on. And so, with all alacrity and high sense of entitlement, they become the informants to your kidnappers, blabbermouths and betrayers to your enemies, collaborator with the armed robbers and blackmailers that trail you. But it is so unfortunate that in some cases, these heartless evils in human forms go scot-free after committing heinous crimes against their relatives, employers and benefactors. So, it is with great joy that I tell you guys today that in this case, the reverse has finally become the case. So, in this case of Mr. Kehinde Fatinoye, his wife, Mrs. Bukola Fatinoye, his only son, and his maid, who were brutally, mercilessly and heartlessly murdered in the middle of the night on New Year's Eve, allegedly by no other person but his driver, will finally get justice. Guys, stay with me as I narrate how the culprit was found, his accomplice, their confessions, and the motive or reason behind this level of heartlessness. Mr. Kehinde Fatinoye was a senior staff of Central Bank of Nigeria, Abeokuta branch, while his wife, Mrs. Bukola Fatinoye, works with the Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta. This couple were living in a duplex at Ibara Government Reserved Area in Abeokuta, Ogun State of Nigeria. They were blessed with 2 children, 2 sons, but unfortunately, the younger of the 2 sons died last year. On the night of 31st December 2022, as it is popularly practiced in Nigeria, families go to church for what we call crossover night. We spend few hours before midnight and few first hours into the next year, being 1st of January, praising and thanking God for his faithfulness all through the last year, and then spiritually securing the new year. Mr. Kehinde Fatinoye, his wife, their son, and their maid all dressed up and went to church. I believe they must have thanked God for keeping them alive to witness 2023. They must have thanked him for the good things in their life and then pray that this year be better than last year. The death of and grief for their younger son never repeat in their lives again. That God should protect this their only surviving son, Oreoluwa, for them, and that may affliction never rise again in their home. They got home after midnight at the early hours of the next morning, 1st of January 2023. And before they could relax in anticipation of blessed sleep, they were attacked. Shaking in fear, they speedily handed over their valuables, their cash at hand, and cash in the bank through transfers, after which they begged for their lives, hoping that the robbers came only for the money and the valuables. That as long as they don't resist, if they take what they came for, they will go and leave them alone. But guys, unfortunately, that was not the case. In the presence of the wife, these devils butchered Mr. Kehinde, and while the wife was still in shock, they clubbed her down. In the midst of the dead bodies of Mr. Kehinde and his wife, their 23-year-old surviving son, Master Oreoluwa, and their maid walked in on them. Oh, how I wish he did not come home that night. How people wished he had slept outside that night. But alas, there he was, before the murderers of his parents, before the bloodied and crumpled bodies of his beloved parents. Guys, you can imagine how he felt. You can imagine how aggressively he went to fight these devils. But because he was neither Jet Li, Dwayne Johnson, or Keanu Reeves, because this was neither a Nollywood or Hollywood movie, because it was a heartbreaking, mind-numbing reality, he was overpowered and then tied up together with the maid. And then while he helplessly watches, the bodies of his parents, together with the house, were set ablaze, obviously to shroud the motive behind the crime and then railroad investigators from the alibi of the assassination. After which, they took him and the maid to the nearby river and dumped them in it. Guys, 3 days later, a fisherman saw his body floating on the river and called the police. When the body of this young man was brought on land, it was discovered that his 2 hands were tied together with a rope at his back, thereby making it impossible for him to swim to safety. This brutal and frightening elimination of a whole family caused a huge public uproar. The internet was on fire. People rose from east, west, north and south to demand police do their job by catching the culprits of this heinous act. All investigations carried out by the police led to one suspect, late Mr. Kehinde's driver, Lekan Adekambi. Then he was arrested. But on getting to the police station, Lekan slumped and fainted. Immediately he was rushed to the hospital, and on getting to the hospital, when people around him seemed to be distracted, Lekan ran out, jumped the hospital fence and escaped. He practically disappeared into thin air. Guys, before now, people have been looking for clues as to why this tragedy happened. Could it be a deal gone wrong? Could it be he has offended somebody? Now that Lekan has escaped, it then became the general assumption of the public that the high and mighty that paid Lekan to eliminate his boss and his entire family pulled some strings that made him escape so easily. That this case might end up dying as an unsolved case, just like many that happens in the country. But my people, despite our lack of faith in our police force, despite our doubts and fears, I'm happy to say that in this case, our police force came through for all that were grieving the unjust and unneeded murder of this family. Lekan has been traced, tracked, caught and arrested together with his 2 accomplices. And upon interrogation, you won't believe his reason for murdering, for eliminating a whole family. He said he committed this crime because his boss did not increase his salary after working for them for so many years. Side note guys, Lekan was their driver since 2010. So you see, he had been angry. He had been boiling on the inside all this while, seeing how this family has been prospering through these years without doing something as simple as increasing his salary. Then he gave another reason. He said he approached them for a loan to purchase a motorcycle, but they refused his request. And because his demands were not met, he planned and plotted the robbery and assassination with the other two accomplices. Now, guys, I ask, how much were they able to cut away with that day? Aside the valuables, the physical cash. Late Mr. Kende's brother said Mr. Kende came home that day with 1.5 million of the new Naira notes. That his brother was able to get such an amount because he was a senior staff of CBN. Now, aside the 1.5 million, they made him transfer 102,000 to them from one of his accounts and 1.1 million from the other of his accounts. When you sum it all up, it wasn't even up to 3M, my people. Then it will be shared among the people who helped him commit this crime. Then I ask, is this worth taking not just one life, but 2, 3, and 4 lives? Without remorse, without shame. You need to hear him talk. He wasn't even remorseful. He feels so entitled. Looking at his body language and listening to him, you will see how twisted his mentality is. He doesn't see the fact that they owe him nothing. He feels that the fact that they neither increase his salary nor agree to give him loan has justified his dastardly act. This guy has been working for this couple since 2010. They must have been giving him things. They must have been tolerating his excesses. They must have been giving him tips and foods on some cases. And when you monetize all he received from this late couple, you'll be shocked to realize it is more than he asked for in a month. So my people, you see household enemies. The more you please them, the more you try to show appreciation for their loyalty, the greedier they become, the more ungrateful they become, the more envious of you they become, the more their twisted mind justify their sense of entitlement to more from you. May those people that will metamorphose into our household enemies never come our way. Amen. And in case they are already our acquaintance or our staff or relatives, expose them and reveal their mission to us. Amen. Please, my people, what do you think about this new development? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. And if today is your first time here, please don't go without hitting that subscribe button. Press the notification bell so that you'll be notified anytime I make a new video. Be assured more goodies are coming your way. Thanks for staying with me to the end, guys, and do have a lovely day. Bye-bye.